Hi, welcome to Through a Handler's Eyes. I'm Jo Hilda and I'll be interviewing assistance dog handlers Australia-wide. We won't be discussing legalities or training methods, just the journey of the human and their dog. Today I welcome assistance dog handler Mac and her dog Hav. She's from Victoria and is an owner trainer with the help of a trainer. So how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very welcome. You're our first guest, so I'm really pleased to have you.
It's very
When did you get your first assistance dog?
So Hav is my first assistance dog. I got him 2.5 years ago, and we've been working together since then.
And what was the influenced you in getting an assistance dog?
So I was quite ill at the time. I probably didn't actually realise how ill I was. I couldn't get out to the letterbox. I couldn't leave the house without someone with me all the time. And I had gone to a family member's house and they had an autism dog there. And I was having a panic attack and I was curled up on the floor crying and half hysterical. And the dog came up and started doing deep pressure therapy. And it was the first thing in forever that had actually broken through a panic attack for me. So my family sat down and said, we think you should look into getting an assistance dog.
So tell us a bit about how you went about getting Havoc.
So first thing as I did was so much research. Like I studied the laws, I studied dog breeds, I studied training, behavior, tasks. I went crazy in my research. And then I started looking at the specific breeds of dogs and decided on the breed that I wanted, which is a Staffordshire Terrier, that I saw evidence in other countries that they could do and become amazing assistance dogs. And then I went about finding the most reputable breeder that I could find that had the most transparent and honest reviews and website, and spoke to them and agreed to purchase a dog through them.
Okay, so how old was Hav when you got him?
He was 8 weeks on the day. He was tiny.
Well, tiny. And tell us a bit about him, about his personality and about him.
Hav is a dog that he loves life. Like he loves everything. Everything is something that needs to be explored, is something that needs to be looked at, is something that brings him happiness and joy. Nothing seems to scare him or upset him. And yeah, he makes me get up in the morning and look around and look at the world with new eyes. He really does.
That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your journey, about how did you go about start training him for a start?
Well, I'd done a lot of research and I quickly discovered that the sheer volume of research that I had done hadn't prepared me very well. So I started at home on my own with, the sit and the stay and the look at me and all those basic commands. And then we went to puppy school, and we didn't start public access until he was about 13 months old. And quickly found a trainer when we could, who's just changed everything. So yeah, he goes from strength to strength.
That's wonderful. And what sort of reaction have you had with the public given his breed? Some people, I would feel, would be a little bit tenuous about it. What sort of reaction have you had?
Well, surprisingly, it's been the opposite. I expected to get a lot of hostility and have a lot of people not want to come up and say hello to him. It's been the opposite. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants to talk to him. I have people come up and ask if they can have photos and if they can pat him. And oh, they had staffies when they were growing up, and they're the most wonderful dogs ever. And it's not true what people say about them on the news. And it my personal area where I shop and where I live. The people around me are so supportive that they're probably as proud as I am of his accomplishments. I've gotten really lucky.
They've watched the two of you progress.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They've been there from the start, watching. When we went in for a minute, and then went in for 5 minutes, and then when we're in there for the first 10 minutes and 15, and seeing him do sits and stays, and as his behaviour has progressed and gotten better and better, they have just, they adore him. I got really lucky to have such supportive people around me.
That's excellent. So, in general, your public access experience has been pretty positive. Have you had any negatives?
Yes, I have had some negative experiences, not many. The one big one was that the first time that I took Havoc into a shopping centre, we were unfortunately fake spotted. And fake spotting is the practice of where assistance dog handlers identify other assistance dog handlers and their dogs as not doing or behaving in a manner that they themselves have decreed that these dogs should behave in, and they then out them on the internet. It was my first time in a shop, and his like together. I was terrified. I kept expecting people to yell at me and tell me to get out. We're in there for all of 2 minutes going in and out. It was really unlucky and bad timing that we crossed the other handler's path. And I went about my day. I thought nothing of it. And then I got a message a couple of hours later with it on Facebook. So, yeah.
And how did that make you feel?
I felt completely betrayed by the people out there. It took me 3 months to get back into public access, and it took even longer for me to stop looking around to make sure that there were certain people around me. I was always forever wandering around going, who's making comments, who's posting on Facebook, who's doing this, who's doing that. Always paranoid of my behaviour and his. And it really damaged our public access training in a really negative way. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the practice. I think we should all stick together. We're all disabled.
Yes, just do ourselves.
Yep.
So, what has been the best part of this journey for you?
The best part has been the change in myself and my abilities. Like I said previously, I was couldn't go anywhere on my own. So now having the ability to go places on my own and have my independence back, but have someone, or well, have with me who makes me feel safe and makes me feel not alone. It's also the fact that because of him, I haven't self-harmed in 9 months. He stops panic attacks when they happen. I've taught him to guide me out of places if I get too overwhelmed, so he can do that as well, which is just made the overall being able to access public spaces, it's made it so much safer for me. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's given you a life.
Yeah, it really has.
How have your friends and family reacted to you having an assistance dog?
Really well. They, like I said, they're the ones that suggested it in the first place. They've been really supportive of what he's doing. My sister's just had a baby, so we've spent the last couple of months training Hav to be around this newborn infant, and he just absolutely adores her and is so calm and so gentle, and he's never met a baby before he met her, so I'm just absolutely stoked and over the moon that he's just such a great dog.
That's great, because that means you've done a really good job there with him.
Yeah.
Okay, what piece of advice would you give someone that you wish you had had when you first started on this journey?
So one, I'd have two pieces of advice. One would be for training, would be look at the fundamentals, meaning the relationship and building the dog wanting to be with you, rather than getting the sits and the stays and all that stuff. I wish I'd done that first. And the second part would be do you. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking or saying or expecting you to do. Don't listen to everybody who says, "Oh, I've trained dogs before," and all that. Just focus on your path, because you know your dog better than anybody else, and you know your disability better than anyone else. So just do
Yes.
you.
Apart from that terrible incident, apart from the fake spotting, what has been your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge has been training with my disabilities. So like I said, I was agoraphobic. I couldn't get out of the house. I needed people to be with me at the time, all the time. Trying to train a dog to be in public access and need to do the social things that the dogs need to learn was really hard. It became an effort in training myself and the dog at the same time. And at times I would push too hard and I would end up quite ill. But yeah, I
Yes,
wouldn't
that's the
change it.
hard. That's the hard part, isn't it? Training the public access when you don't like public access
Yeah.
yourself. Now, what's the best thing about having an assistance dog?
The best thing, oh, just, you're not alone. I've always just felt alone, even in a crowd, even with everybody around me. But there is this wonderful four-legged animal that is just my absolute best friend, who just wants to be with me and helps me get through the day, and every time he achieves something, we celebrate, and every time I achieve something, we celebrate, because he couldn't do what he does without me, and I couldn't do what I can without him now. Almost,
Yeah,
symbiotic relationship now.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to me.
No, thank you for having me.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for listening. If you've got any questions or you would like to be a guest, email me at throughahandlerseyes@gmail.com. Bye.